Nice.
Got some big fish.
Are you kidding? Oh my God!
This big mama came out. This is the biggest fish I've ever killed bowfishing.
Sun's out. Rock salt, baby. Good job. Good as name. Right there in the rock. Right there's a big one. Nice shot, Taylor. Get him, Smitty. Doubled up, baby. Hey! Wow. Love bow fishing. Come here. Time for a free boat ride in the AMS boat. Hey! Hey, everybody. I hope you like that new intro.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, Schmitty?
I think it got the blood pumping. Honestly, that makes me want to go shoot some fish.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Something that we thought we'd try, and just like I said, the season's here, man. I love looking at social media right now because I know that a lot of stuff is happening. Tournaments are starting. I'm seeing all these bow fishing photos on all the social media sites.
Mm-hmm.
People are out there sticking some fish, and it is awesome to see. I'm seeing pictures of boats, like I said, and shooting some big old fish. And so welcome to the Bow Fishing Buzz presented by AMS Bowfishing and
Megamouth Bowfishing as well.
That's right, episode 34, Schmitty.
Holy cow. God, I say that every time, but it doesn't seem like we've done that many episodes. But cool deal.
And I guess since I've been looking at all the social media sites and seeing everybody out there sticking some fish, we decided we got to get out there too, don't we, Schmitty?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember last week Thursday, we were building bows, you and I. Mm-hmm. And we were building bows like crazy. And
Yep. The old Hooligan V2s.
Yep. I mentioned something. I said, "Are you shooting fish this weekend?" And I thought you said no. And then like 20 minutes later, you're like, "Well, if you want to go, we could probably go shoot some fish tonight." But yeah, we went out Thursday night. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. And the reason that we went out Thursday night is because we were checking the forecast for the weekend, and we didn't want to be on the water over the weekend because it got down into the single digits here in central Wisconsin.
25-mile-an-hour winds to go with it.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal. So, yeah, we did some bow fishing. We met up with our good buddy Caleb Meyer, and we did some bow fishing. And it's always so cool this time of year because when you go out there, you can't go everywhere because of the ice.
Yep.
You know, there's still a lot of ice on the main lakes. It's just little chutes and little canals and little sloughs that open up. And even then right now up here in the flowages, the water's extremely low. You know, you can see that from where it should be to where it is right now.
Yeah.
But you got the snow chunks on the sandbars. You go a little further and you got the main chunks of ice that are still out there. So it's really neat this time of year. You got to dress accordingly.
Yeah.
But man, we shot enough fish the other night, and we had a good time to where I didn't even notice I didn't even wear gloves at all the whole night.
Well, I know when we pulled up, yourself and Caleb were giving me crap about not having bibs on.
Right.
I remember thinking to myself, "Oh gosh, maybe I underestimated this weather a little bit." But yeah, like you said, we were shooting fish enough. At no point did I think to myself, "Oh man, I'm underdressed." That was really cool. And really, that's the only time of year when we go out and we'll do that, here and there in early season, and we don't go as much, late season before it ices up. We're always in a tree stand somewhere. But it's just weird to be shooting fish when it's, 20 degrees outside, 25 degrees.
Yeah.
Everything's just a little bit, it's just not what I'm used to as far as, usually shooting them in the summertime, springtime, it's a lot warmer than that. And it's a very cool element, though, to be out there and there's ice everywhere.
Right.
Slow moving big fish.
Yeah.
It was pretty fun. It was cool.
Yeah, we shot some really good buffs.
Yeah.
A couple of good buffs.
Yep.
And even the commons were, and it's so funny because our commons up here, after the first ice out, when you go out and shoot them, they have a total different character to their body shape than they do come, June or something like that.
I was impressed.
It's like they start absorbing water and holding water, and they get that kind of like a pineapple with their scales kind of look to their bodies. It's just really cool and really neat to see. And then we also got what we call the old googly eyes.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Matt, you were doing some questionable things on the boat Thursday night.
And what I mean by googly eyes is some of these commons, it's like they start getting so like pineappled out and so like absorbing water that their eyeballs start to bulge out of their eyes. And actually, the one that we did shoot the other night, Derek, we could actually tell by him swimming in front of the boat, because we chased him a little bit, that was a googly eye, because you could actually see his eyeball hanging out of the side of his body.
Yep.
And we got a little googly eye in the boat.
I think we chased Googly. I think we chased him for. I think all three of us shot at him before you connected with him.
Yeah.
But that was a good fish.
Googly eye. And then Caleb shot the biggest buff of the night.
He had a good buff.
Yep, really nice fish right there. And I think you shot the biggest common that night.
Yep, towards the end. That was cool.
Right. So it was a good time, and it's so cool to see everybody out there enjoying the sport that we all love so much, bow fishing.
Yep.
So keep posting those pictures, because I really enjoy looking at them. I love looking at the tournaments and stuff like that there. Getting to the tournament side, I just have to give a shout out, because when I saw these numbers, I was kind of like, wow, that right there is impressive. This past weekend down in Texas, Derek, they had the Texas State Championship.
Okay.
All right. And Team Obscure Adventures, Pete Gregoire, Logan Gregoire, Nate Carnahan, and Blaine Lutz were the Texas State champs in the Big 20 division.
Okay, Big 20.
Yep, yep. Their total weight of their 20 biggest fish, Derek,
Okay.
996.8 pounds.
What is that for an average?
That is an average of 49.84 pounds. Their heaviest fish was 64 pounds, and they had 4 others that I believe were over 60 pounds. But that's impressive.
I mean, just.
And they were all smallmouth
I was going to
buffs.
say that's just a boat full of big buffs there.
That was impressive, right?
Wow.
There. So shout out to Team Obscure. That's one heck of an average
For a 20, Big 20.
for a Big 20, and especially Texas State champs. Congrats on that.
Wow.
And then Team Bad Company in the numbers division shot 992 fish. They were doing some work, so congrats to those guys out there.
That's a workout right there. Good
That's-
Lord.
that's impressive.
You got to be zoned in, focused all night long to do that. Holy cow.
Right. So that was really cool to see those numbers. And like I said, if you want us to give a shout out to anybody out there on a big fish, on a record type of fish, leave us a message on YouTube channel, on our podcasting networks, on Facebook, on Instagram, and we'll be glad to give you guys your team or a solo out there a little shout out and a hats out to you guys.
Yeah.
In fact, we did get I
I was just going to mention him, Matt. Yep. The Dutch Mafia.
Right.
Where did he send us that, Matt?
that was on
Instagram
YouTube.
or
That was on YouTube.
Okay. And when he was asking, he has some boat-specific questions.
Mainly his question was how to set up a boat for all-night shooting or like an all-night tournament between a trolling motor, a kicker rig, a fan, an airboat. Do you use just batteries or do you have inverters in the boat? What type of lights do you like? HPS, halogen, LEDs. We're not going to get into that today because that's a little bit of a deeper subject.
We'll get there eventually.
We will get there. And the reason that we're not going to get to that today, but in one of our next podcast, is because we're going to be calling Jim Ed Gill from Fredonia, Kentucky. All right. And Jim is a commercial fisherman down there, and he is doing a lot of netting on the Kentucky Lakes, Barkley Lake region down there. So we're going to be calling Jim and having a discussion with him, but we will get to your topic, the Dutch Mafia.
At a later podcast.
In a later
probably.
podcast,
We'll dive
correct.
into it. So.
Correct. Yep. And another thing is part 2 came out today,
Yes,
Shreddy.
that's right. Yes. Carbon TV.
Yep. So if you want to see some bow fishing action, look up Carbon TV and type in AMS Bowfishing. Wisconsin nonstop bow fishing, part 2.
Yep. More of some daytime shooting in this episode. Some big fish, not
Yep.
to spoil anything. But
Part 1 was nighttime.
Yep.
And part 2 is our daytime action.
So go check that out. And one thing I know we mentioned this, Matt, the last time we had this podcast. When you guys are on Carbon TV, and we really do hope that you enjoy our content. If you guys want to leave us a Carbon TV score, you can leave a score. We actually found out that I think you just click right up on that number where it's displayed, and you can click it up or down.
Right.
1 is the lowest, 10 is the highest the best rank that you could give us. So if you guys would, if you guys like what we're putting out there and give us a Carbon TV score, that really helps us kind of stand out from the rest. And
That's
according to just our numbers and everything, I think we're doing pretty good on Carbon TV to start.
Absolutely.
That's been really cool to see.
Absolutely, because one thing about that score, Derek, is at the end of the year, Carbon TV has a little like awards.
Yep.
For newest show, best of show, best characters in the show.
Yeah, I see they have a best blooper.
Oh,
I can't wait for you to try to win that one sometime this year.
I like that.
Yeah.
But if you do go in there, we really would appreciate that if you would give us a good score. And the way to do that is you have to log in to become a member. It's all free, and there's tons and tons of awesome content on Carbon TV, from fishing to hunting to archery to camping. Anything outdoors is on Carbon TV. So,
very cool.
Go there. And like I said, our next every 2 weeks we'll be putting a new episode out there, and in between those episodes we'll be putting our podcast videos on there also.
Yeah.
And that's under the clips link right there. Yep. So make sure to check them out.
Matt, I'm going to throw this at you. We did not talk about this at all.
Okay.
But I'm just looking at the dates here.
Yeah.
Paired with when we're thinking about doing something, do we want to tell the listeners what we're waiting for to happen down south for these next couple of weeks?
No,
or are we wanting to keep that a secret?
They're going to have to keep checking back on our podcast.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Sorry for the tease, everybody.
But yeah, I think it's time, Derek. What do you say? Should we give Jim our little phone call here and get him on?
Give him a jingle.
All right.
We've known Jim 2012. He won the second annual AMS Big 30 in Brandenburg, Kentucky. So that's very cool. A couple years ago, we went down to Kentucky. We were shooting fish with him. Let's see what Jim has to say.
He was out crappie fishing when I talked to him earlier.
God, jealous.
Hello.
Jim, how you doing? This is Matthew and Derek from the Bowfishing Buzz.
Hey, Jim.
Hey, Matthew. Hey, Derek. How are y'all?
We are doing great. I bet you're doing better than we are, because when I talked to you 40 minutes ago to make sure that we had a good connection, you were on the water crappie fishing.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's right.
Any
Nice day out here.
last day out there for crappie fishing?
No, nice day.
Oh, nice day. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Any luck with any big old slabs yet?
Not yet this morning.
Not yet.
They're playing hard to get.
We're actually, so what is the temperature down there? Just curious, Jim, right now.
65.
65.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And right now we are under a winter weather advisory up here in Wisconsin.
Have fun. Keep it up there, please.
Uh,
Yeah,
but,
keep it up there. Y'all are still froze up, right?
you know what's weird, Jim? I was ice fishing 3 weeks ago and it was 60 degrees. This past weekend, it got down into the single digits.
Yeah.
So
there's ice. Up north, there's ice you could fish on.
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Now, y'all are in Wisconsin, correct?
Yes, sir.
So what is up north? He said up north. I think you're there.
We are
the
in-
northern tip of the state,
Yeah.
I guess.
Actually, we're located in central Wisconsin, so when we drive about 100 miles north of here, that's up north.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
We consider like the Tomahawk, Minocqua area up north here.
Yep.
Yeah, it's about 100 miles from here. But Jim, we're glad that you came on and joined us, because this is going to be an interesting podcast, because you own and operate Gill's Fisheries down there in the Fredonia, Kentucky area.
Yes,
And
sir.
like Derek said before this, I met you back in 2012, had no idea who you were, didn't even know you were in the tournament back then, the AMS Big 30 in Brandenburg, Kentucky. I didn't even know you guys were in it until you guys ended up winning first place in the tournament that year. And
it doesn't seem like that long ago, but I guess it was.
isn't that crazy?
10 years, yep.
And it's just funny because ever since then, I knew you. I talked to you after the tournament, and I kind of knew you, and I kind of followed you on social media. I'd come down there once in a while, and Dennis Redden would talk about you. And you were, when I would come down there to shoot in the tournament, you were one of the teams that we had to compete against, and we knew we had to compete against shooting bigheads on the rivers down there, because you guys were awesome at shooting some giant bigheads down there. And it was fun to compete against you. What's the biggest bighead that you've ever shot, Jim?
The biggest one that I've shot?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Is it over 70?
No, I think my biggest is a 68.
Man, that's a big fish.
Wow.
My younger sister actually shot an 87,
Oh,
an
my
86,
gosh.
Wow.
86.8, I think, or something. Yeah.
Yep. But you were back then, like from 2012 until you got into your commercial fishing, you were big time, competitor shooting in tournaments, and not just in Kentucky, but all across the U.S. You were shooting in a lot of tournaments. Team Triple X, was it?
That's right.
Yep. Well, that's really cool. But we're going to get into your commercial fishing lifestyle now, Jim. So I would like to know, when did you get the itch to become a commercial fisherman, and why did you lean that way?
Well, I heard about this was, I guess, would be the spring of 2019, and I heard about they had a subsidy program going for the Asian carp. We're on Kentucky and Barkley Lake and Ohio and Cumberland, Tennessee River here in Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
And we see the problem firsthand. You go out crappie fishing like today and see them all over the side stand, or you're bluegill fishing, they jump in the boat, or bass fishing. All the talk is how destructive they are. And I started hearing about this subsidy program, me and a buddy of mine, and we were talking one day on lunch break. He was a union operator, and I was, I wasn't in the union at the time. I was just doing some welding work, some iron work, working 2 different jobs. He was in Paducah, I believe, and I was in Clarksville. And on lunch break one day, we decided that we were going to quit our jobs and commercial fish for Asian carp.
No kidding.
Wow.
Just like that. And I think 2 days later, I quit my job.
I'll be darned. Wow. With no equipment yet?
No equipment.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So we were going to strip the bowfishing boat and use it. And then ended up, we found one that week. Found a boat, bought it, got some old junk nets together, and went after it.
Wow. Wow. So did you have to get any type of commercial license when you started out and stuff like that also?
Kentucky offers a free commercial. It's an Asian carp only license. It doesn't cost you anything.
Okay.
You're allowed to keep silver carp, bighead carp, and grass carp.
Okay.
Every other species, buffalo, commons, things like that, you have to let them go. You can't sell them. But with the free license, you can sell all the Asian carp you want. I guess it's kind of an incentive to get people to come here and catch them.
Right.
A little less overhead to get going.
Absolutely. And that makes great sense, because of the invasiveness that they have created down there on the lakes. So that's a really cool incentive for that. Yep.
Jim, can you tell us, you mentioned that you had to go buy a different boat. Can you just dive in a little bit deeper on the boat that you have and the equipment that you have to use to do this successfully?
The original boat that we bought, we were going to start with, or we did start with it, a 2672.
Wow.
I think it was a Potts plate boat.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a
It was
big boat.
pretty good size
Yeah,
boat.
that's a big boat.
30-inch sides, something like that. And I think at one point, the most we had in it was 9,700 pounds. And that was absolutely loaded.
Wow.
Now, that was 2000, that would have been fall of 2019. Now in 2022, I have a 3484 Oquaka with about 40-inch sides.
Jeez.
So,
how do you turn around with that thing in the parking lots?
Well, luckily it's on a gooseneck. It's on a 40-foot gooseneck trailer.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's a little bit easier
Yep.
than a bumper hitch or bumper
Right.
pull.
Yeah.
It's changed a little bit, and I think the most I've had in that boat was just over 20,000
Oh, my
pounds.
gosh.
20,000 pounds of silvers and bigheads.
Of silvers and bigheads, one day.
Good grief.
One
That
day,
is a
one set.
load. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Unbelievable. So Jim, do you use any type of special sonars or any type of live scopes to find schools of silvers?
Well, I know live scope has been tried to locate large schools, but you need to be able to see, 150 feet or so.
Okay.
And the live scope kind of gets blurry out to that far. Some people use the Mega 360. I myself, I just have a Helix 12, and I use the Mega imaging.
Okay.
And that's how I go in, and you'll pull into a bay or a flat or something like that, and you kind of watch. I mean, it's just like whenever you're bow fishing. You watch the top of the water, and you see one jump, you go check it out.
Wow. That's
Try to
crazy.
Try to get around them.
So just curious on those type of sonars. when you get into a large school of fish, that just has to blow your mind what you're looking at on your sonar, knowing what's underneath the water.
The crazy part is, even if you're, say, a 12-inch, a 12-inch hummingbird helix unit, say your screen is completely full of carp, and you're going to say there's 1,000 fish there that you can see on your screen,
Mm-hmm.
There's probably more like 10 or 20,000 fish that you're
kidding.
looking at.
Wow.
You're not seeing a tenth of what's there.
Wow. That's incredible.
It's absolutely mind-boggling how many really are there.
That is crazy.
Jim, what was the learning curve like to get good at this? Did you have anyone to help you, guide you through it at all?
Yeah. You, Matt, you know Tanner Taylor, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Me and him actually started doing this together, and we about starved to death for the first month or two, probably. Probably 2 months.
Sure.
And then, man, it just, every day you go out, you learn something different, you see something different, and it makes it really, really easy to learn fast whenever you put a big long net out and it's empty and it's about 95 degrees out here.
Oh.
And you got to pull it all in and go again.
I can imagine.
It makes it very, very quick learning.
Yeah, I bet. Wow. Yep. And that's interesting, because it's almost goes right back to scouting for tournaments to shoot in a tournament. That learning curve that you learn from the very first time you got into tournaments to when you end up, after competing in tournaments for several years, kind of like same thing here with your commercial netting. The same thing, your learning curve from the beginning to where you are now. Actually, how long have you been commercial netting, Jim, right now?
Let's see, this June will be 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
This
All right.
June will be 3 years.
And just out of curiosity, you were probably like one of the first ones to start doing this on the lakes, weren't you?
There was a few other crews, probably.
Okay.
The guys have been. Let's see. There's two different ways that people do it. One way is what's called dead setting. That's you have shorter nets. They stay 3 feet under the water. You go out of an evening time, put your nets out, and you come back the next day and you pull them. And then there's guys that go out and will block a bay completely off with a net that goes from the surface all the way to the bottom.
Okay.
Right? But you're not allowed in Kentucky to leave those nets floating unattended. You have to pull them.
Sure.
So what you do is you'll go out in the morning, you find fish, make your set, catch them, and then you pull them and pick them out of the net that day.
Okay. And that's what you do, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, do you put those nets in like a circle, Jim? Or do you just put them straight?
If I'm going to fish, if you're going to fish a wide open area, a flat or something, you put your net out and try to get around that exact school of fish.
Okay.
But for instance, if you're going to fish coves and bays and little pockets somewhere that has, 2 hard points on either side that you can run a net across, then I'll do more of a straight line.
Okay. All right. And do you make like a drive with the boat to kind of like corral the fish in to those areas, or do you just kind of sit back and let them do their thing?
If there's fish in a bay, you can block the bay off, and then you take the boat and go in and get behind them, and then you make all kinds of noise and racket, and it runs them out. They don't like it.
Right.
They try to get away from the noise.
Yep.
If you get them in a circle, you still have to jump in the middle of the circle and drive around in there and push them into the net.
Wow. That's got to be a sight to see.
Yeah.
When you get that many fish going into an area. I know you discussed like some of the species that you are allowed to get, Jim. But I'm guessing there's quite a bit of difference between the amount of silvers that you get compared to bigheads. Or is there not really a big difference between the two?
No, there is a huge difference. Mostly now that I'm circle setting, right now.
Oh, okay.
And I'm catching probably 99, maybe more than 99% silvers. There'll be days, a lot of days, that I don't catch a single other fish other than silver carp.
Wow.
And you'll have 10,000 pounds of silvers in that set, and nothing, not another fish in there.
That's unbelievable. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Not even any game fish, huh?
No, very, 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 very few game fish.
Wow, that's crazy. So you're actually.
I can count on one hand the crappie and bass that I've caught in 3 years.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy
incredible
to me. Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So right now, while we're on the phone with you, Jim, you're actually out setting nets right now.
No, I'm crappie fishing right now.
Oh, I thought you said you were circle netting or something like that. I'm sorry.
Well, and that's the style I'm fishing right now whenever I am net fishing.
Okay, gotcha.
A couple months ago, I was blocking bays, but now I'm going back to the circle setting. Fish are getting, as the water warms up, the fish are going to get faster. They're going to get smarter. It's harder to see them on sonar, and you have to be quicker than they are.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, gotcha. That makes sense.
Jim, what is your heaviest one-day haul?
Just over 20,000. I think it was 20,000 and 110 or 112 pounds.
Wow, good Lord.
12 hours. Yeah.
That's just crazy. And you're just strictly doing this right there on the lakes. You're not going. Do you do any netting on the tailwaters, like on the rivers?
No, I fished the river one or two times, and that was on the Mississippi.
Okay.
And no, I strictly fish Kentucky and Barkley. It's 99.
Wow.
Is where I stay.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So the next question that we have for you, Jim, is what do you do with the catch of silvers, or once you have your boat load? What's the process? You get back to the boat landing. Now what happens? Now what takes place?
Well, you get back to the boat landing, you hope that your winch doesn't mess up, so you get the fish on the trailer.
Yeah, no kidding.
Get them to the market, we unload them, and the market that we're currently, most of our fish are going to, they go to a place in Illinois where they're ground up for a meal protein for like animal food, pet food, things like that.
That's awesome. That's being a renewable resource like that.
That's right. And there are other markets that are doing. I know some bait for crab now.
Yeah.
And there are also I think there's one, maybe two human consumption markets.
Wow. And that's awesome to have that available because of the invasiveness of these fish, to have these things available to where we can use this, use these.
Right.
I mean, that's
right.
awesome.
The supply is endless.
Wow.
Unless something chemical or whatever happens, they're not going nowhere for a long time.
That's crazy. Now, Jim, isn't there the Aurora Fish Company right there close by? Do you take the fish to that place also?
I have not yet sold to them.
Okay.
They just got opened up and flowing.
All right.
But yeah, they're there, and I think they're in the bait market is what they're doing. I think that's crab bait, maybe lobster bait, stuff like that.
Okay, because that's right there on the lakes pretty much, isn't it, in Aurora?
Yeah, Aurora is that's right on Kentucky Lake, and it isn't probably 10 minutes from Barkley.
Okay, all right. So you have to drive into Illinois to get your fish taken care of?
No, sir. They have a receiving facility here in Eddyville, Kentucky.
Oh, okay. All right. So I'm guessing you take them there, unload them, and then they freeze them. They freeze them.
No, they go on a reefer truck and they go straight up there and they get ground fresh.
Okay. Oh, wow. All right.
And then they get ground and then dried.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
So, Jim, you obviously have a lot of stuff coming through those nets. What's the most memorable or craziest thing that you've ever seen in one of your sets?
Man, I could talk about this for a while.
Oh, this sounds interesting. I kind of like this.
We've literally caught everything you can imagine. I mean, as far as things on the bottom of the lake, obviously the lake is man-made, so there was houses and cars and wagons and whatever, everything under where the lake is now. We caught pieces of car frames, couches.
Oh,
I mean, 90-pound buffalo that Dennis Redden wants me to tell where they are. Yeah, we've caught it all. That's for sure.
Good grief, that's incredible.
Yeah, I think we caught some pieces of plows. Old drilling hooks from where they used to braille fish for the mussels on the lake.
Wow.
I mean, other gill nets. It's insane.
Wow.
I
So
think I caught an axle one time too. That was terrible.
did you really? Imagine lifting that thing up.
The absolute worst that I've caught was the other day, and it wasn't that big or heavy. Usually it's bad because people put out brush for fish, and you catch a tree and it's got 14 concrete blocks wired to it, and you've got to pull it in or cut your net. So
Jeez.
The other day I caught a piece of chain link fence.
Ooh.
And it just so happened to have about a 30-pound silver right beside it, and he wrapped it all up in a ball, and it's a brand new net. I just built this net.
Oh man.
So I didn't want to cut it. So we have to we have to take and break apart every one of these little chain links in this
Oh,
fence.
gosh.
It took about an hour and a half to do a 4-foot section.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
it
a
was
lot of
terrible.
work. That's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is. It's a very physical job.
Absolutely. And like you said, do you do some of your netting when it gets like hot down there and muggy and 100 degrees and stuff
Yes,
like that?
sir.
Do you do some of the netting at nighttime also, or is it just
Yes,
during
sir.
the daytime?
About July, we generally have to go to nighttime. It's too much, too hot. The fish get too hot. It's everything's better at night except for the bugs. That's not better.
Okay, all right. And so I'm guessing that you've got a bunch of big lights on out there and stuff like that also.
yeah.
You look like another
Yep.
bow fisherman out there then,
That's right.
except
That's
you're getting a
right,
lot
I do.
more fish.
Yeah. I've actually had bow fishermen come up while I was on one end of the net picking it, and they were driving their boat down the net, shooting fish that were in the net.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
no.
That has happened. Yep.
And then, of course, the arrow is going to get stuck in the net when they're trying to crank it
Oh, yeah.
back.
Yep.
Oh, my gosh. Wow. So my next question, Jim, is have you noticed a difference down there when you first started commercial netting to where it is now as far as some of the changes, as far as it being, is it being beneficial to the lake or to the ecosystems, or do you still see just tremendously large amounts of silvers in those bodies of water yet?
Still giant of silver carp here.
Really?
Definitely.
Mm.
Definitely giant numbers. But it is nowhere near as bad as it was 3 years ago. And
Okay.
You go to the gas station. Well, an average person isn't going to hear about it. But whenever I pull up and I have a big carp boat and they ask what I do and I tell them, they say, man, we haven't seen a fish jump in, 6 months.
Right.
3 years ago, 4 years ago, they would just beat us to death. So it seems to be making a difference. But
Sure.
there is
Awesome.
still a large mass of fish here.
Man. I remember years ago, this is like probably 6-7 years ago, going into Barkley on some back bays and just idling out to where we're going to start bow fishing or start before we could take off with the boat. And there used to be just a large number of silvers jumping behind the boat. And those silvers on the lakes were a lot bigger
Oh, yeah.
than the
They're big and
silvers.
healthy here.
Yeah, I mean, you could hit with one of those as you're puddling across a bay. It's going to knock you silly. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I guess me and everybody else that commercial fishes, and probably a lot of bow fishermen have been hit. I almost got knocked out last year.
I bet. Yeah. I can see where that
Yeah,
can
they're-
happen very easily, especially what you're doing.
Yeah, we have a long relationship, and I still hate the fish now, like I did when I first found them. I guess that's kind of part of what drove me to do it. I mean, obviously, knowing that I could be on the water every day
Mm-hmm.
and possibly make a living, and it turns out to where it's been a pretty good gig. It has.
That's it.
I want them gone,
Yep.
but it would make me sad to not be able to do this anymore at the same time.
Right. It's kind of a love-hate relationship.
Right, that's right.
Wow. Well, Derek, you brought up a little bit ago about what we were planning on doing here shortly when the time is right. And it's actually what we're going to be doing is we're going to be coming down to Kentucky, and we're going to be going out with you
Oh, yeah.
for one of your little netting excursions for the silvers. And I'm looking so forward to that, to seeing this
gonna be cool.
process, to seeing what comes in the nets. So I'm really looking forward to coming down there and hooking up with you, Jim, getting out there and having you show us this whole process. We're going to film the whole thing so we can show it to the audiences as well. But I'm really looking forward to getting down there and hooking up with you. And thank you for what you do down there to help, the ecosystem down there, because Kentucky and Barkley Lakes are huge bodies of water, and they're a tremendous resource down there. So I think what you're doing is very beneficial to the lakes, and we really thank you for doing that, Jim.
Awesome. Yeah, man, I'm glad to be able to do it. And I think you shot your fair share as well, haven't you?
I shot a couple, yeah.
Yeah, 2 or 3.
Yeah, a couple of them. Yep. But
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. Y'all are
Absolutely.
going to have a whole new outlook.
absolutely. And like I said, Jim, I've known you since 2012 when you were just this young kid, bow fishing. I actually looked at that picture today when you guys won first place in the Big 30 back then. And
Yeah.
and like to see where you've come now. You're married now. You've got a beautiful little girl, and it's so cool. And I'm very happy for you, and everything's going well for you down there. So thank you for joining us today on the podcast, and we look forward to coming down in the next couple of weeks and having you take us out for some fun, Jim.
Absolutely, man. I'm looking forward to it.
All right.
I'm looking forward to it.
Very cool, very cool. Well, best of luck out there crappie fishing today.
Yeah.
I hope you get some nice slabs for some fish fry. And we'll be talking to you soon, Jim.
Awesome. Hey, it was good talking to you, boys. I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
All
Thanks,
right, sounds
Jim.
good, Jim. Take care.
Yes, sir.
Bye-bye.
I tell you what, Matt, I was interested in what that was going to be like before that call, and now I can't wait to see what in the world is going to be. I don't really know what to expect. How big did you say the boat was? 34?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big rig. That's a big rig.
That is awesome.
Of course, it was. I heard him say Aquaca. That's a custom boat dealer in Illinois, where he had that made.
We used to have one.
Yep, we used to have Aquaca. It's a custom boat dealer, but it's pretty cool to hear Jim's story, to see where he started out to where he is now. And like I said, I followed him, and I'm glad for him. I'm really glad for him that he's doing well down there, and it's really cool. So hats off to Jim, and remember that you can watch this on the video podcast. I forgot to mention that earlier, on our YouTube page, and then also on Carbon TV. Those are going to be out there, or just straight audio podcast. One cool thing, Derek, that's coming up is right now the Bowfishing Association of America are doing auctions on their Facebook page.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
They're doing hunts, prizes and stuff like that there, and people are putting in bids, and the bids are stay up for a couple of days, and then the highest bidder, when the cutoff line comes, wins that auction that they're running.
Yep.
Okay. And they've got a bunch of them out there, and where that money goes to is it goes to the World's Bowfishing Championship, the big tournament that they're having this year down in Louisiana.
Yep. Yep.
They started that last year, and it went over very well for them, so this is how they add money to the pot. Well, one cool thing about that, Derek, is AMS Bowfishing is going to be donating 2 American Hooligan bow kits.
Very cool.
Yep. An AMS hoodie and some AMS hats. All right. And Megamouth is donating a couple hats, a Megamouth hoodie, and then 1 Megamouth reel.
Awesome. That's awesome.
So you can go there and keep checking the Bowfishing Association of America's Facebook page, and you can keep checking that out, and pretty soon they'll post that up there when that auction goes live, and you can start placing bids for those awesome American-made AMS Bowfishing products right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Go to a great cause.
Absolutely. And it, like I said, it goes to the Bowfishing Association's tournament down there, is where all that money goes to. So a great deal. And remember, now is the time. The season is here. Yeah. Make sure to join your local, state bowfishing organizations. Join the Bowfishing Association of America. And the more numbers we have, the better it is for us when we need to go and fight for your bowfishing rights out there. So keep checking back with all that stuff and join those clubs. And get out there and do some bowfishing. We're going to be getting out here once this weather turns. Like I said, right now we're in a winter weather advisory.
Yeah, it's maybe 20. Like legit, is it 20 degrees out yet
I don't
today?
think it's even 20.
Yeah.
We've got some ice, some snow, some freezing. We're supposed to get like a bunch of freezing rain.
Oh, that's nice.
Ice.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's fantastic.
So, yeah.
One thing I want to say, Matt.
Yeah.
It's March 29th. I just looked down at that date right there. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's not what I was going to say. But we're going to do, like Matt mentioned too, we're going to be going down with Jim Ed here when that weather turns nice.
Yeah.
And we're gonna film a whole bunch of the whole process. So just be on the lookout for stuff like that. You'll be able to relate back to what we're talking about now really well with some of the footage that we're going to be able to get down there.
Right.
So yeah, just be on the outlook for that. And the next thing we're going to do, Matt, I did this last time we had a podcast.
What do you got, Schmitty?
I'm going to give you a quote, but I'm going to mix this up. You guys remember, you got to put this quote in the boat. Last week was the mountain lion steak.
Oh, I remember that.
Remember?
Yep, that was Ted Nugent.
Yep. So this week what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a quote. You got to guess who said the quote, and then you have to try to tie it into how you can relate it to shooting some fish.
Oh, so I got a double whammy coming towards me here.
Yes, you got all kinds of stuff that you got to do.
All right.
Okay, I have it memorized, actually. It was like on a poster in our high school locker room. So you might get it. Okay, here's the quote. Winners never quit, and quitters never win. Who said that quote?
That, I'm going to guess, was your high school basketball coach.
No, it's someone much more famous than that. No.
Repeat that again?
I might mix it up, but it was winners never quit, and quitters never win. I can see the poster right now. The guy who said it standing there. His long cloak.
I'm going to need a little hint.
All right.
Because I have no idea.
Green Bay Packers.
Brett Favre?
Nope.
Vince Lombardi.
Yes, there you go.
Okay.
There you go. Now, Matt, how could you take Vince Lombardi's words there, winners never quit, quitters never win, and associate that to your bow fishing career, or how you can use that to be a better bow fisherman?
Okay, I've got one example.
Okay. Oh, yeah, a story or something, anything.
I do. I have one story on something like this here.
Okay.
Quite a few years ago, we were shooting in the directors tournament on the Illinois River.
Okay.
All right. And they had like the biggest or heaviest overall fish was like a $2,000 prize or $1,500 prize.
Yeah.
All right. And so we went out that night and we shot some grass carp. Nothing very big. One was decent. And we thought we were just having a terrible night on the water.
This is going to go one of two ways.
So as we're coming back to the boat launch, I see another competitor's truck is still parked at the boat launch, and I saw them come down the river, and they had a smaller boat.
Yeah.
Okay, so I thought, well, I'm just going to stay here and make sure that they come back, because this time where people should start coming back to the boat landings and start heading back into weigh-ins.
Yep.
Didn't see him. Finally, I see a little light come around the corner, way down the river, and we buzzed down, and it was them guys, so they were all good to go. So we went back, and I was tired because it actually was a day shoot.
Oh,
also,
boy.
and then the
those
night
are,
shoot.
Those are tough, yeah.
And I was like, guys, man, we just had we got fish, but we didn't got nothing special here. We're not even going to do nothing. We're just going to go in. And so we actually went back to the weigh-in headquarters there, and we didn't even weigh it. We just took all of our fish, and they had a refrigerated tractor trailer there, so we just threw all of our fish in one of the bins right there, and then we kind of sat around there. Yep. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, we would have had the heaviest fish.
Well, do you remember what the weight of the fish was?
It was like 37 pounds or something like that, or grassy was, but I thought there would have been some bigger fish shot.
Really?
Yeah. And that just goes to show, even though you might be having a rough night, doesn't mean that everybody out there is having a heyday.
Right.
Everybody could be struggling that night just because of the weather or whatever happened. But yeah, so we were a quitter that night.
So, and quitters never win, and you guys did not win.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I always think that, too, with the Big 20, every year we'll have a couple teams that don't come back to weigh in, you know?
Yep.
And I always think, man, you put in all that time and effort and everything and gas to go do it, and then you could come back here and you could still, I mean, with the stuff that we give away at the tournament, the Average Joe's award, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that you could still have a really, really good day.
That's right, because Corey Brossman does the Average Joe.
Right, which I think is so cool that goes to, the average team like that. It keeps everybody in the running for it.
Right, and that's a 2-day Stingray trip.
Yeah.
Out in Delaware.
Yeah.
You could win that. And we have bows for the heaviest certain species, buff, common carp, dogfish, gar. So those don't need to be, your buffs and your gars don't necessarily need to be giant fish. You just never know if anybody might even get your drum,
Yep.
So you can win a bow that way also.
Yep.
But yeah, Derek, that night we were a quitter and we were a loser.
I promise everyone, that was not scripted at all. We did not discuss that, but that lines up perfectly with that quote. Yeah, good deal. Good deal. All right, Matt, is it time for a product highlight?
Give her, Schmitty. I'm ready for a product highlight.
So with the season starting, one of the most important things a piece of equipment that you got to have and you got to have confidence in, it needs to perform for you, is your arrow, and more specifically your Aeroshaft. So we're going to be talking about the Lava Crux Aeroshaft. The premium Lava Crux is an AMS exclusive patent pending shaft that consists of a solid carbon core wrapped in high-grade fiberglass. This combination creates the straightest bowfishing arrow with more spine for nearly perfect arrow flight, not to mention its silky smooth finish. This arrow is preferred by tournament shooters for its more stable, accurate shot. Points are pinned to the shaft for more security. Recommended for those shooting higher draw weights and 100% made in the USA.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I know just assembling these in the shop, Matt, they are so much more. They have so much more of a spine than your
Absolutely.
traditional fiberglass. And I think they penetrate in deeper water much better, too.
Right. The cool thing that I really love about the Lava Crux is you have the carbon core wrapped in fiberglass.
Yeah. And just to explain that, it's a black core. If you guys haven't seen it, it's a black core wrapped in yellow fiberglass.
Right. If a lot of you bow fishermen remember the old yellow jackets or the carbon spines where you had a fiberglass arrow and you had carbon black running down the sides of those arrow shafts, this is what separates a Lava Crux from those type of arrows is after a time those carbon strands can splinter and start deep fraying from the fiberglass, and you'll get little carbon strands that actually poke out of that fiberglass shaft. Well, with the Lava Crux, you don't have to worry about that because the carbon is wrapped in fiberglass.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about those fraying out like that. So that's a really huge benefit to the AMS Lava Crux arrow right there.
Yeah. And of course, Matt, you can get that Lava Crux Aeroshaft on an Anchor QT, RFX, Chaos QT, or Chaos FX as well, whatever you prefer.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's going to wrap up episode 34, Schmitty.
Yeah, that was a solid 46 minutes. Wow, that flies. That flies.
We can't thank Jim Ed Gill
Yeah, thank
from
you, Jim.
Fredonia, Kentucky with Gill Fisheries for joining us today. And I hope you learned a little bit about commercial netting and the process of that and what it all takes and a bunch of information that Jim gave us on his commercial fishing adventures down there.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Can't wait to get down there with him and
I
join
know.
him.
That's going to be really cool. I'm very interested in that.
Absolutely. So from all of us at AMS Bowfishing, we wish you the best of luck. And remember, aim low.
Think big. Thanks for listening, everybody.